Hey up YouTube, welcome to the latest video. Today I'm going to be taking you through the front squat, how you're going to be able to improve your front squats from mobility drills. First of all, we're going to start off with the basics, so let's get into it. Okay, so before we obviously get into the video, I'm going to ask for two quick favors, and that is to one, hit that big old like button and make sure you hit that big old subscribe button. As I said, today team, I'm going to be taking you through a front squat. It's going to be a little bit of a change of video. I haven't really done one of these before, and kind of just taking you through mechanics, taking you through everything to be thinking about. And if you are a person who is struggling with their front squat, wants to get better at their front squat, but you can't necessarily get into a comfortable position. Once you're in a comfortable position, the strength in your legs should be not that too dissimilar from a back squat. We want to be thinking about probably like to an 80% in terms of a strength-wise, trailing from your front squat to your back squat. So if you're really struggling in this area, and usually it's going to be that positioning with the bar across the top of the shoulders, and it's uncomfortable, and therefore you're not wanting to do it, and you're wanting to avoid that exercise because ultimately it hurts, which is going to affect then your overall performance of what you're able to do. Before we get onto the gym floor and I'll show you some exercises and some drills to think about, we've got 4 mobility areas you've really got to be conscious for. That is your ankles, so we're working on our dorsiflexion, which is replicating the movement your ankles does in a squat. Then we work through the hips, mobilizing the hips and just getting more range of motion overall in that sort of hip capsule. Then we work through the lats, because that's the position where if you've got a shortened lat position, you're going to struggle to get the elbows up nice and high, and similar kind of thing with the shoulders. If you've got a poor shoulder mobility, it's going to be difficult to have a grip on the bar at the same time. In terms of mechanically, when we look at the front squat, it's like, okay, how are we meant to move? You've got 3 different forms of kind of how you could be squatting. We've got first stick man on the side here, where we've got hips in line with the knees, working to like a parallel position. Then we've got a position where we're working below hips to knees. That's where we're probably getting that ass to grass. We're working to a nice range where we're almost hitting that bottom range position, which is kind of what we want to work towards. We want to work towards getting strong in that bottom position, which is then going to trail to, say, when we transfer to a squat clean, and it's getting used to sitting in a low position and catching a bar and being able to have the strength to stand that bar off the floor. And then you've got your third position, which is not really where we want to be, which is where the hips are higher than the knees. That is something we kind of want to avoid, and we're not aiming for there. We're aiming for either hips in line with the knees as parallel, or we're aiming for hips below the knees. Guys, we're going to go onto the gym floor now. I'm going to take you through some quick fixes and a few easy mobility drills that's going to improve your front squat today. Right, so as I said, first things first, I'm going to take you through some nice, easy, quick fixes, okay? There's nothing people love more than the quick fix. Okay, first one you're going to think about is basically both a heel elevation, okay? First thing you've got is a couple of plates, even if you've actually got weight wedges, or if you've got, say, weighted plates that you can then put the heels on top of. I'm going to explain it in a second. Or you can grab yourself some weightlifting shoes. See how these naturally have a heel elevation in them, so you're like walking around with basically a permanent heel wedge in. It's going to help you to basically keep the torso more upright, which is what we want. So a lot of the times what you might be finding is as we're squatting, the bar's coming here and it's taking us onto our toes, and we're not able to stay on the heels and sit back into our feet, which is what we want. When we then bring the heel wedges in, naturally now, as we squat down, our torso is going to be able to stay more upright. Okay, what this is going to help is the mobility in ankle, the mobility in the knee, the mobility in the hip, and then also the back. If I get rid of these plates and show you here my torso stride, if I then come onto the plates, how much easier it is for my torso to stay upright. So as I said, in terms of quick fixes, in terms of something to just, if you're wanting to get a better front squat right this second, elevate those heels. It's going to be the first thing to help you over a lot of other things. Looking back at the start of the video and those mobility areas I said you need to improve on, we're going to go through 5 mobility movements. The first one here is a kettlebell dorsiflexion. So again, going back to the dorsiflexion, like I said at the start, closing off that ankle joint and replicating what we're doing in the squat. And we're just using the kettlebell to take the knee right the way past the toes. But what we want to ensure, the heel stays down on the floor and the toes stay down on the floor. So nothing moves, and just work through your active range. So if you work to a point where the heel comes off the floor, that's your body saying that's where you've hit your end range. So just leave it there. From here, we're going to then work through the hips. We're going to work into an adductor rock. So you come onto an all four position, one leg comes out and we just sit back into the adductors from here. So you'll get this really nice tension release all the way starting from that right hip, as you're seeing on this side, that goes all the way to that right knee, and even you'll feel it like through the hamstring as well. So yeah, that leg comes out and we just sit as low as you can into it. Again, working through your active range of motion. So if your range is to a point where the hip starts moving about, it feels uncomfortable, that's where I want you to push yourself towards. From here, we're going to come much more into the shoulders element. So we're going to give a PVZ pipe and we're going to work on our internal rotators, which is that position we've got when a barbell's on the top and we've got that sat across the top of our shoulders. So we're just using the PVZ pipe, really subtle, nice, delicate movements here. It's easy to crank that shoulder and almost probably rip those rotator cuffs out and pull the shoulder out of socket. So it's just really nice and slowly pulling that PVC pipe and just again working through that active range and working to a point where your elbow stays at 90 degrees and just working through that range of motion. From here, we're going to attach a band to a high rig, and now we're going to really work on lengthening the lat out. So you let the band take the elbow behind the body and see the position with my elbow to my shoulder. It's that 90-degree angle, and that is obviously going to replicate when you've got the elbows nice and high in that front squat position. Whereas as soon as those elbows start dropping, what's going to happen is that bar's going to sit in the wrist and it's going to get uncomfortable and it's going to get painful. An easy replication of this as well is to grab a kettlebell, say if you don't have a band, and you just let pretty much the same movement, but this time you're letting the kettlebell do the work. So the kettlebell comes over the top of the body. I'm going to show you on the other side here. Kettlebell comes over the top of the body and you just sit and try and push that elbow as much into the rig as possible. And the last one, we're just going to work on a thoracic foam roll. So it's that myofascial release. Your muscle fibers will get all tangled, so it's now just important to roll things out and just get all those muscle fibers to a nice straight line position. And inevitably, we need that thoracic extension in that front squat and that front rack position. And once we work on these 5 areas of movement and mobility, you're just going to find you're going to be able to get in that nice tight position. So as you can see here, elbows nice and high and sitting low into that squat. Guys, give these tips a try, give everything a try. As I said, you will feel better today. You'll be able to get a better front squat than you ever had before. Following these drills, following those quick fixes, get those weight plates, follow those mobility routines and think about in your head like, right, am I getting my hip past my knee or am I getting at least to a parallel position? Comment down below anything you want me to cover in the comments, any exercise you might be struggling with that this kind of video would benefit from. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and want me to make more of them. And other than that, I'll catch you very soon. Alex.